I'm Jared Dillian. This is the Be Smart Podcast. How not to be an idiot with your money. We're all going to die. Yeah, this is true. We are all going to die someday. I am faced with my own mortality every day when I look in the mirror. And in the last 2 years, my hair has gone from being about 10% gray to 70% gray. Oh, man. It looks good. You know, people say, hey, you know, makes you look distinguished. I don't really want to look distinguished. I mean, I could dye it, but that would look ridiculous. So, you know, my idea of exercise these days is walking a half an hour on the treadmill. I go to bed at 9:30. I am worn out from carrying groceries upstairs. So I'm getting older. And I want to talk about death from a financial standpoint, but also from an existential standpoint. Now, I'm not going to talk about wills and trusts and estate planning and all that stuff. I'm not a CFP. I should know more about that stuff, but I don't. Back when I was doing the radio show, I spoke with a guy named Bill Perkins. And Bill Perkins is an energy trader, and he's almost a billionaire. Last time I heard, he was worth like $900 million. Very successful guy. And he wrote a book called Die with Zero. Title pretty much says it all. You want to die with zero. You want to spend all your money before you die. Okay. Maybe not precisely zero, because you want to leave a little bit behind for your family. But you don't want to leave too much behind for your family, because then your kids are going to be Trustafarians. Yeah. The first fancy vacation I ever took was to the Gansevoort in Turks and Caicos. This was in 2011 or 12. And there were some young kids there. They were probably about 18 or 19, and they were spending the week there. And they had a ton of money. And it was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. A lot of people, you know, having too much money is a problem. A lot of people would like that problem. Okay. I'm not at that point yet. I have some money. There's still things I want to spend it on. I'm still working and growing and building. But at some point in my life, for sure, age 55, 60, something like that, I'm going to run into the problem of too much money. So, what do you do with too much money? Well, you enjoy it. That's what we're here for. And Bill Perkins, one of the things that he says in his book is that people are very good at surviving, but they're not that good at thriving. Okay. And it comes from the days when we were hunter-gatherers, when we were cavemen, basically. And as cavemen, what do? You hunt, you gather, you find food, you find shelter, you fight off predators. You're very good at surviving. And that's a basic human instinct that we all have, this survival instinct. And we have it, and we carry these survival instincts from 10,000 years ago into an advanced civilization where we don't have to worry about those types of things anymore. Some people go hungry, but really not that many people go hungry these days. We can feed everybody. You know, what's the worst thing that can happen? You lose your job. You declare bankruptcy. Okay. It's still going to be okay. Things are still going to be okay. So we should focus on thriving, because that money is not doing much sitting in your bank account. Yes, we need some for retirement, but if you don't have enough for retirement and then some, then go enjoy it. Take a trip, buy a house, go on vacation, get a fancy car, whatever floats your boat. Hell, get a boat. The point is, we are all gonna die someday, and that money is meant to be spent. Now, I have a friend who is a CF, who I've mentioned on here before. And I told the story on another podcast about this guy giving a $1 tip. Okay, he's the biggest CF in the history of CFs. And I told him my point of view on surviving versus thriving, and he just made fun of me. He started mocking me, you know. And this guy lives in a terrible house that he bought 18 years ago, and he now makes $3 million a year, and he's still in survival mode. He is in survival mode, and he will never get out of survival mode. I mean, from his standpoint, he's like, it could all end at any moment. Anything could happen. Could lose his job. Yeah, he's going to lose his job, and he's still got $15 million in the bank. I mean, for me, the issue is time. Okay, I don't enjoy my money as much as I should. It's not because I'm cheap. It's because I'm busy. Okay, there's a lot of fun things I'd like to do, but I don't have the time because I am working all the time. Now, I took a trip to Greece in June. I try to take one big vacation a year. This was the best vacation I've ever taken in my entire life. It was fantastic. I get one of those a year at most. So we're talking about this again. Should you live below your means, at your means, or above your means? Well, that's an easy one. You should live below your means until age 45, and then you should live at or above your means after that. The first 25 years of your life is for accumulation. The last 25 years of your life are for decumulation. What I'm trying to do here, the purpose of Be Smart, is to undo 30 years of shitty personal finance education because we demonize these people who spend too much. We literally demonize them. We say they're bad people. They're immoral for spending too much. But we have created an entire generation of people who don't spend at all. Now, I knew a family of CFs that had a teenage son. And the son used to go door to door in the neighborhood looking for food because there was no food at home because they weren't spending money on food. This is real. This is millions of people in the United States live like this. I am not shitting you. This is way more common than people who spend too much money. Okay? There's millions of people like this, and I'm going to repeat myself. You are all going to die. Okay? Pretend you're 50 years old. You have 25 years left at best, maybe 30. How much do you have in the bank? What is it doing there? Money is meant to be enjoyed. Now, the key is you first have to make the money before you spend the money. And some people do it the other way around. And those are the people we say are bad people and they're immoral and stuff like that. They're really not that common, I can't remember. This is one of my favorite stories of all time. This was really a special moment in my life. Okay, so it's 2012. It's in the fall, September, October. Maybe it's August. I can't remember. And I went to San Francisco, and I went there on a business trip, but I combined it with a wedding. So I was there for a business trip and a wedding. And I had some free time, so I was kind of cruising around the city, and I went down to Union Square where all the shopping is. And I walked by the Prada store. Now, I'm buying my clothes from, I don't even really remember where I was buying my clothes from, but not Prada. I went into the Prada store. I didn't even know what Prada was. I didn't know anything about these luxury brands, but I walked into the store and I'm kind of looking around, and you're kind of afraid to touch things. I mean, everything looks so expensive. Like, I'm just afraid to touch things. And I see this pair of boots, and they are the most beautiful boots I've ever seen in my entire life. And I picked them up and I looked at the price tag, and the boots were $1,000. Now, just to put this in perspective, I'm 38 years old. Okay, I was making about $400,000 a year, and I had $2.5 million in the bank. Right, so I looked at these $1,000 boots, and up until this point, I've never spent money like this before. I would shop for my shoes at Johnston & Murphy. I would spend $100 on a pair of shoes, which is a very middle brow pair of shoes. Okay, and for whatever reason, I bought these shoes. I spent $1,000 on a pair of shoes, and I still have them. And I still wear them. That's kind of the funny thing about nice shit, is that it doesn't wear out. You still wear it. I still have these boots, and they still look great. So then I got on a roll. Then I went to Nordstrom, and I bought two amazing shirts. One of them was a Xenia shirt. One of them was an Eaton shirt. $600 for two shirts. On that trip, I spent $1,600. And I was happy. For the first time in my life, I said to myself, I am worth it. I can spend money on something fun. It's not going to break the bank. It's going to be okay. Right? And that was really the beginning for me. And at that point, I started to spend money for the first time in my life. And I've never once regretted it. I have never regretted it. But I had to get to a point where I decided that I was worth it. And up until that point, it was an issue of self-esteem because I always viewed myself as the poor kid because I didn't have any money growing up. And then I was in the military and I just, I had made a decent amount of money and I just had this view of myself as somebody who was poor, Spending money is an act of affirmation. You are saying I am worth it. Now, some people think they are worth it when they actually are not, but that's not what we're talking about here. I have a friend in Myrtle Beach who is a cheap son of a gun. The guy, he doesn't make that much money. He doesn't make a lot of money. I don't think I know anybody who spends less. Like, he lives on just no money at all. And he was getting a job somewhere. He was going to have to dress up a little bit. He was going to have to get some nice clothes. So he was asking for advice. He's like, what do you think I should wear? I was like, dude, just keep it real simple. We got a Brooks Brothers outlet in town. Go to the Brooks Brothers outlet. Get 5 non-iron dress shirts. They're $40 a piece, $200. You can throw them in the wash, throw them in the dryer. You don't have to get them dry cleaned. It's the easiest thing in the world, $200. He's like, I'm not spending $40 on a shirt. I said, well, how much do you usually spend on a shirt? He's like, $5. Come on. And this guy, he has saved a lot of money. He doesn't make much. He has a very low income, but he's super cheap and he's got multiple six figures in the bank. He wouldn't spend $40 on a shirt. David Mannon, who used to come on the radio show with me, he was getting married. This was like 10 years ago. And I was there for this conversation. It really was one of the funniest moments of all time. And his wife said, you need to get a tie for the wedding. And he's like, why would I want to go and spend $7 on a tie? Oh, man. We are constantly in survival mode. It's literally what most people do in this country. Okay. And after a while, after I made enough money, I decided I didn't have to be in survival mode anymore. It's the difference between having an abundance mentality and a scarcity mentality. You can always make more money. It's the difference between slicing the pie into smaller and smaller pieces and making the pie bigger. They tell you you can't have it both ways. You actually can have it both ways. It's just balance. Balance is a very difficult thing to achieve. You can have a little less money and be happier. Thanks for listening to the Be Smart podcast with Jared Dillian. See you next time.